Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is for anybody feeling suicidal. This is what you need to do to overcome your problems. Let's go. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this as simple as I can. If you have a look at the diagram on the screen, as you can see from the left, we have the ego, and on the right, we have the spirit. Now, anybody who feels suicidal is because they are suffering in their ego identity and in this world. And your ego is really just your mind and your body and your identity in this world. Whereas your spirit is within you, it's actually really is the real you, and it's the awareness. So if you think of what is the awareness behind my thoughts, who's listening to my thoughts, who's the one behind my emotions, that's why when you sit in meditation, you realize you are the awareness. And the mind and the emotions, when they're uncontrolled, that causes you to want to commit suicide. But the awareness is what is going to set you free. And what happens is the mind and the emotions and external events in life can cause us to want to not live anymore. And then you want to commit suicide. But rather than committing suicide, what you should rather do is awaken your spirit. Because when you awaken your spirit, your ego will essentially, it won't die, but it will diminish. And then once your ego diminishes and your spirit takes over, you cannot suffer because the ego is what's causing you to suffer. So rather than committing suicide to end the suffering, you awaken your spirit. That's how you do it healthily. And let me make it clear, I fully understand why people could want to commit suicide, because especially now in today's world, it's crazy, but also people can get in situations where you feel hopeless and there's no hope in life. From an egotistical point of view. For example, if you're in loads of debt or if you're in loads of physical pain, it's completely understandable why people would want to end the pain and the suffering. But what I'm here to tell you is you don't need to take the drastic measures of ending your life. You just need to awaken your spirit. And once you've awakened your spirit, that will be the end of suffering. And as you can see from the diagram, the ego means you're in darkness, you're in spiritual darkness, you're stuck in the flesh. When you're in the spirit, you're in the light. And the ego, it's fearful. You know, the body is scared. Oh, am I going to die? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? Whereas the spirit has nothing to be afraid of because it is eternal, it's light, and you're filled with love rather than fear. And when you're in the ego, everything feels pointless. But when you're in the spirit, there is actual purpose to life. And the thing that causes people want to commit suicide is it's either fear, pain, suffering, or they just feel life's pointless. And what's the point? We're all just here, we live, we die, we're just wasting our time, especially in this world now that's so dark and sad and pain and violence. It almost feels, what's the point? But when you move into the spirit, you're filled with love and purpose. And then you realize, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to serve the spirit. And then you will no longer feel depressed and in darkness because you'll be in the light. Okay, so from that point of view of this diagram, that is what I'm here to tell you. You don't need to commit suicide. Even if you're depressed, mental health problems, all these things can be overcome by the power of the spirit. And the world won't tell you this, mainly because they're ignorant, but there's also people profiting from keeping you weak and in pain. But if you trust me, if you move into the spirit, all of the suffering and pain will be manageable. It doesn't mean that we won't have problems, but it just means that we won't suffer because of the problems. For an example, if a family member of mine died, I'm still going to be sad, but I won't suffer, because I have the wisdom of the spirit. Whereas those who don't have the spirit, obviously, they're going to be sad because of the death, but then they're going to continue to suffer because their thoughts are going to continue to plague them going forward. They're going to go, oh no, it's so sad. How am I going to live without this person? What's happened? Are they in heaven? Are they in hell? If they're religious, they got all these weird ideas and they're just going to continue to suffer. Whereas for me, I'm sad they're gone, but I understand that this life is just a brief happening, and in the spirit, everything is under control. So I don't need to be depressed. And we're all going to die one day. Our lives are literally just a quick flicker of an instant when we consider our eternal spirit. And it's not really that big a deal. Okay, so now I've told you what you need to do, I'm going to explain how you need to do it. So how do you go from the ego to the spirit? And again, I'm going to keep it simple, and it is pretty simple. Is the main way is just to sit in silence, or what they would call in Eastern traditions is meditations. In Christianity, they'd say, be still and know God. And essentially what you're doing is you're just sitting in silence, observing your thoughts. Whereas what generally happens is people just have thoughts and they control them. But what will happen when you're sitting in meditation, you'll awaken the awareness, or you'll become aware of, oh, there's awareness behind my thoughts. And that awareness is your spirit. And that spirit will shine a light on those thoughts, and you'll gain control of your thoughts. And that is essentially spiritual awakening. Is once you spend enough time in meditation, you'll start realizing that you are the awareness, and that is your spirit awakening. So that is the best way, without doubt, to do it. Another way is you can fast. If you fast from food for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, what it will do is release you from the egotistical bonds. And again, that's another way of awakening the spirit, by fasting. You could also do sexual purity. If you're addicted to sex or porn, stop doing that. And again, because it's one of our food and sex are two of the strongest senses. Once you fast from them, you'll release fleshly bonds and awaken the spirit. Another thing you can do is purify your environment. If you're around negative people all the time, and even if you're on the internet watching people argue and you're getting involved in debates, pointless debates and arguments, just purify your environment. Move away from that. Hang around with positive people. Get out in nature. Sit in meditation. Give up alcohol. Give up drugs. All these things that are not keeping you pure, move away from. Or all things that are negative, move away from. Even if you're a work environment, do whatever you can to get out of being around a negative environment and things that will drag you down. And a final point that really, really will help is once you do the meditation, you'll learn to live in the present. A lot of the things that cause us to suffer is looking forward and looking back. And I know myself, I was in a very difficult period of my life. And one of the things that made me sort of really depressed was the fact that I knew it was going to take me a long, long time to solve a lot of the issues I had in my life. It wasn't a thing that, I could sort this out in a month. It was going to be years and years and years for me to sort out my problems. But what happens is when you enter the spirit, you just live in the present and you do your best day to day. And then gradually, what you'll realize is years go by like nothing. So if you just work day by day, take each day as it comes, next thing you know, life will be getting better and better and better. And you'll be slowly working towards freeing yourself. And what you'll also realize is the things that you think are problems aren't as big as you make them out. When you're in the ego, they seem massive, but once you awaken your spirit and you grow in the spirit, they will diminish. And in 5 years' time, when you're wise and you've grown in the spirit, you'll look back and say, okay, it was tough, but I didn't need to torture myself as much as I did at the time. Okay, so that is my advice on today's video. If you're feeling suicidal, do not do anything silly, even if you're depressed or whatever. Just simply move from the ego to the spirit. And if you need any help, go on my YouTube playlist. There's a mental health or depression playlist. I've got multiple videos that will help you overcome your problems. And also, if you need any personal help, go onto the Discord and message me in there or put it on the mental health chat. Alternatively, I have also set up an email. People can email me if you want some personal advice. That's fleshtothefather@outlook.com. Everything is free of charge. I'm not here for your money. I'm here to help you and help ease people's suffering. Okay, so that's where you can find help. In the meantime, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, like the video if you like it and it's helped you, share it with anybody in darkness. And for now, God bless everyone and goodbye.